Are you really going to eat that? So, take a look at the ingredient list of this food product. And now I need some audience participation. Can you guess what this product actually is? Come on, audience. Take another guess. Come on. Anyone else? Take a try. Come on. Milk? No. Chocolate? No. So this product is actually baby formula. Can you guess what this product actually is from its ingredient list? So this is bread. This is the face of modern food production. It's reduced our food to a chemical ingredient list, and we don't even realize it. So now, when you buy a product, it says it's 100% natural. I have never known anything to be unnatural. Why does our food say it's real honey as opposed to fake honey, or made with real fruit as opposed to fake fruit? The answer to simply, are you really going to eat that, is yes. Why not? Because you all had breakfast this morning without thinking what was in your food. Am I right? The novelist Franz Kafka once noted that while you have food in your mouth, you have forgotten all the questions and you have answered them for the time being. The problem is, it's estimated that by the year 2030, in less than 15 years' time, we will need to see at least a 50% increase in world food production to feed a growing population. That is a lot of food. This is what everybody thinks farming is about. The rolling green hills, butterflies in the fields, wonderful romantic. This is what farming might look like in some areas of Europe. This is the face of modern crop production. It's highly mechanized, it's chemically intensive, and it is destroying planet Earth. This is the face of animal production. Animals produced in factories like commodities, raised in cages, so that you and I, for breakfast this morning, could have our pork chop, our chicken schnitzel, our piece of fish, our beef, whatever the case. It is highly inhumane, and it is highly pollutive to the environment. This is how your food is produced in factories. Factories that treat food as a chemical ingredient. Why is processed food so popular? Why do we like it? Simply because it provides us with variety, it's cheap, and it's convenient. It's estimated that 75% of the food we consume is processed food throughout the world. This amounts to a massive $3.2 trillion a year. Just think about that number. $3.2 trillion. The problem with processed food, with modern food, is that it is increasingly being linked to lifestyle diseases, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, not just in adults, but increasingly also in children. As a result of mass food production, in the US today, a burger is cheaper than a salad. You can buy a burger for 99 cents. The salad, which is the equivalent, which is much healthier, is $4.99. Why? Because the grain, the meat, and the processed cheese that's used in the burger is all subsidized. It's paid for, but the ingredients of the salad are not. The 5 major food-producing countries in the world today are China, the European Union, consisting of 27 countries, the United States of America, India, and Brazil. And these 5 countries subsidize their agricultural production massively. In other words, they pay farmers to produce food. China pays its farmers $326 billion every year. The European Union pays its farmers $195 billion. The USA, 95, India, 38, and Brazil, 10. Can you imagine what would happen to food production in these countries if you took away these subsidies? Hang on, let's think about this differently. Can you imagine what would happen to food production in Africa, in South Africa, if you paid farmers at the same scale to produce food? And what's the effect of farming subsidies? Farmers in developed countries are paid to produce food. This, in turn, drives the prices of food lower. You might think that's fantastic. Your breakfast cereal costs cheaper because of farming subsidies. But think about this. The poor farmer in the developing country who is not subsidized cannot compete in terms of production. They cannot produce food at the same cheap price, and so they simply are outcompeted in world markets. And the result of this? Massive, massive food waste. It is estimated that more than 1 billion tons of food is wasted every year. The wasted food could feed 2 billion people. Just think about that. We could feed 1/3 of the world's population on the wasted food. It is estimated that the wasted food is a result of a lack of storage and transportation, and that most of the wasted food is as a result of waste from production through to retailing, and not the level of the consumer. In other words, throughout the world, on every continent, there is massive food waste from production to retailing. I'm very glad to share with you this morning that on the continent of sub-Saharan Africa, we have the least food waste at the level of the consumer. So why in a resource-poor world is there so much food waste? Simply because there is no economic incentive to distribute surplus food. Isn't that sad? There is surplus food and there's no economic incentive to distribute it. And as a result, we are polluting our earth. Massive pollution because of increasing agricultural production, pollution to our environment, pollution to the earth, pollution to our water systems and to our seas. But let me remind you, it is estimated that by the year 2030, we will have to increase food production by 50% to feed a world's growing population. So let me challenge you. Is the price worth it? I'm hearing silence. Let me challenge you. Is the price worth it? Silence. The problem is, we don't live in an infinite world. The world is finite. We cannot continue to produce more food for a growing population. We cannot continue to waste more food. We cannot continue to pollute our earth. There is a wonderful North American saying that states, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we made them. The problem is, we cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and think we will save and solve the world's problems. There is enough food in the world. Food waste proves that. So what's the problem? The problem simply is, we are trying to solve a problem that already has a solution. We have enough food. We need to think differently about the actual problem. We need to use innovative ideas, use technology in a positive way to distribute surplus food. In other words, we need to think out of the box. The problem is, the price that needs to be paid is not great, but no one's prepared to pay it. It's a price that no single individual, no corporation, no country is prepared to pay. The price is goodwill. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to the question, are you really going to eat that, becomes an analogy. It's an analogy for our choices and our preferences in the food that we buy and we eat and we consume on a daily basis. It's an analogy for the choices we make in our lives. I want to challenge you this morning. Are you prepared to pay the price? Are you prepared to make the right choices? Are you prepared to say, we will no longer allow such massive food waste in our world? We will not allow our world to become polluted. We will not allow people to stay hungry. We will make that choice. Are you prepared to make that choice and stand up for what is right and say, no more? I would like to thank you and thank TEDx.